So hey, here we are. It's middle of April, and you look good. I look good, of course. What else is there to say, really?
I guess nothing. We should probably end now.
Shortest episode ever. Um, I forgot what we were going to talk about today.
I had it on my phone, but I'm using my phone to do this thing, so I can't look it up.
I'm charging my phone right now.
Well, what
Well,
if we just riff? We could riff. No big deal.
well, the only thing I knew that I wanted to bring up and get your opinion on was the Kershaw stuff. So a couple,
Yeah,
couple days ago, I'm sure you know that the Dodgers were playing. Who are they playing? Who are the Dodgers playing? It
does it
almost
even
it
matter?
doesn't. Well, of course, I don't think it matters. It's mid-April, but the Dodgers were playing. It was Clayton Kershaw's, I think, his first start of the season, and it was about the seventh inning. It was the end of the seventh. He finishes the seventh
End of the
inning.
seventh.
He had a perfect game going so far. No hits, no nothing. I think he had like what, however many strikeouts, 13 strikeouts, or I don't know, something nuts like that. And
It was high.
80,
13.
he only thrown 80 pitches, and
Yep.
they
He was
took
dealing.
he was dealing, wheeling, dealing, and then they took him out of the game. Uh, it ruins the chances of a perfect game. There only have been 23 perfect games in the history of baseball for over 100 years they've been playing this damn game. I don't know. Well, I mean, I don't know. I personally think it's a shame. I think it's a shame. I, it's Kershaw, man. He's already an all-time great, he's a Hall of Famer, but that's just such a rare thing. And he was. You don't think he's a Hall of Famer?
Is he a Hall of Famer? I'm glad we don't have Andrew on this show.
I am too. Yeah, I
Listen, you never know with the Hall of Fame. We've talked about the baseball Hall of Fame writers for a long time. You just never know with those guys. Should he be in the Hall of Fame? Yeah, I think so. Will he be? Who knows? I mean, he only has, well, not I say only, but he has 186 wins in his career. When like you thinking like Hall of Fame like ace pitchers have, he needs to have 200 wins. You know.
time out, time out. Not to jump ahead of like my
Okay.
whole entire point, but if he throws a perfect game, it doesn't that just like kind of it's icing on the cake. I
It
mean,
certainly. I mean, it certainly adds icing. Whether or not the cake was enough to be a media enough cake for the full dessert, that's fine. But it is some really good icing.
a
I
meaty
mean,
cake,
well,
meat cake.
there meat. That's meat pies are okay. Meat cakes, I wouldn't want to go for.
Don't knock it till you try.
Anyways, not to go down the whole Hall of Fame deserving
Yeah, we
path
don't
of
have to do that.
Kershaw. All I here's the people. The reason why baseball is in decline is for this exact reason. When I say they, I mean the the league, the the managers, the executives, the statisticians, the Moneyball folks. They are just hell bent to suck all the fun out of this game. You know what I mean? Like if you're in the crowd on that game and you see one of the, I mean, if you're a Dodgers crowd, I think they were in. I think they were in. No, they were away. They were in Minnesota. But still, if I'm a Minnesota Twins fan and I'm seeing my team just get destroyed by the Dodgers and Kershaw, one of the best pitchers of this era, I would definitely say, is flirting with perfection. Not even a no hitter, perfection. And they just take him out just because, he was on an 80 pitch count and that's it, man. That's all you got this year, this game. Like, it's a long season. Got to keep. Forget the endurance, forget the long season, because that's honestly not the problem. Because they've had these long seasons for forever, and back in the 80s and what guys would throw 150 pitch. They wouldn't even track pitch count. You know what I mean? Like you just most pitchers that were any good, you'd pitch 8 innings and that's it. And those guys lasted a long time. You have these guys that lasted for 15, 20 years, but the problem now is they're so worried about protecting their investment and the soreness and the blah blah blah, like it just ruins all the fun of baseball. And it's a travesty. It's a travesty. And it's like it's the more I think about it, the more upset I get, that they would do something like this,
Well,
like you said, there's been 29 perfect games in the
23.
23 perfect games in the history of baseball. Do you know how many total baseball games have been played? Major League
Yeah,
Baseball games have been played
thousands. Yeah,
tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands.
yeah.
You know, like, and for to not just see it through,
Chance at
why
history.
wouldn't you do that? Why wouldn't you do with that?
Oh
Like, just
man, it sounds like we're on the same page with this. It's just it's frustrating because so the one thing that as I've listened to more people talk about it, people that are more knowledgeable than us, as hard as it is to believe that there exists such a person, um, it's the decision. They talk about the possibilities before the game even happens, and then they have a game plan. It's like it wasn't a decision that was made in the moment. They already know. They have a whole plan worked out for these players. So
great.
go. Well, I know, and not that. I mean, again, you and I are on the same page. I'm just kind of explaining it a little bit more because it's like people can be like pissed at Dave Roberts, the manager of the team, for like making that call, making that decision. Well, he is obviously has input, but him and the team at large, they think about they think through all these possibilities and they make the decision before it even happens. So it's not like he was in the moment. It's like, Dave, what are we gonna do? Are we gonna pull him or not? And he's like, oh, yank him. They already had it predetermined. And it's all based off of stats and probabilities and with the data that we know that we have. How many pitches a player can pitch in a season before they get worn out? Blah blah blah, things like that. And not to blah 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 because it has it's improved the game in a lot of different ways. But when you're in a situation like this, a lot of the reasons to limit a player's a pitch count, um, it's to protect young players, to make sure that they have a long career, to protect their investment, like you said. But Kershaw's not really that same kind of a guy. He's in the tail end of his career. He's still fantastic. Obviously, he's still fantastic. He's still one of the best pitchers out there. But he's at the tail end of his career. He doesn't have a long-term contract with the Dodgers, so it's not like they like, hey, we have him locked up for 6 years. We need to make sure he can pitch all 6 of those years. That's not the case. It's like you said, it's really early in the season, and he's only at 80 pitches. Usually, it's that 100 mark that usually you start thinking about it. Maybe things are changing a little bit, but there's just you hit it on the head. Like all this does is hurt like baseball's reputation. I mean, it's already. I mean, they're already radically changing rules, like rules of the game, which I'm not saying they shouldn't be doing. I say radically because a lot of baseball purists would say that these are big changes, like not allowing the shift, increasing the base size, all of those things. They're already doing things because they've acknowledged we've got a viewership problem. We've got like a youth fan problem, whatever you want to call it. These kinds of moments are what drive eyeballs to the sport. Like that's why the MLB network exists, because you can say, oh hey, we have something amazing's happening. We're all everything's going there. All focus is on there. People will tune in. People will jump into it, and it's not like I understand that the players and the managers their objective is to win games. I get that, but this was such a low risk situation. It didn't seem like. Not to mention, Kershaw's a vet. He knows his body. He knows when he can pitch. It'd be different if he was at 80 pitches and maybe like that last inning something didn't feel quite right, and he's like, you know what, I know I've got a perfect game going, but it's not worth it. I felt something weird. Like I'm gonna be fine, but I know my body. At the very least, you know, hey, Clayton, I know we had this. We talked about this beforehand. How do you feel? Do you want to keep going? I have to imagine if it was up to him, he's like, I've got a chance at history here. I mean, this would do nothing but cement his like this is how legends are made. I mean, I guarantee you that he would if it was up to him, he would have stayed in the game. And it's just a shame. I mean, it's good for baseball for to let him keep going and to work towards that perfect game. Even if they got a hit in the next inning, then you pull him out and
Take
whatever.
him out. Take
You
him out
take
right
him out.
after.
But like 80 pitches, I don't know, man. It's just a shame. I really do think like I think he's going to be a Hall of Famer, and he even said he's one of the best pitchers of this generation. And again, we don't really need to get into like the is he or is he not, but like that alone just tells you that he's going to be considered for it. And
Oh, yeah,
if
absolutely.
you add a perfect game into that mix, then I mean it's one very good reason to include him. It's just such a rare thing to happen, man. It's just a shame. It's a bummer, and it's why baseball kind of deserves to lose some some fans for this. I mean, I don't think they'll actually lose fans, but this certainly did not help them in any way.
No, it doesn't, and it's just I don't know. It's frustrating, but it is what it is. You won't see that happen in the NFL, though. You know, if a quarterback is, I don't. Well, I guess you can't really have these things in the NFL. That's what I guess that's why it's so also so annoying. Like, I don't know. There's like there's very few times that you can have a sport like in a sport. Like, I mean, maybe let's think about this for a minute. Like, what would constitute as perfection in any other sport that you could find here in baseball for them to not allow this guy to pursue it? Like, like you know,
The
the
only
only thing I
thing,
could think of
Mhm.
maybe some records like a single game record and you'd set a starter because you're winning by a whole bunch maybe, but even that is so not. There's just something about you you performed your position to perfection. Like that is just so rare, you know what I mean? So for somebody to be able to do that and come so close and then just you know what, we're good. Ugh,
Yeah. I mean, I was
yeah.
thinking the same thing. It's like, okay, maybe there's a guy that um, you've already wrapped up the game. Like, let's say in football, you're winning by like 30 points. It's like the fourth quarter. It's like halfway through the fourth. A lot of your other starters might be like it's late in the season too. Maybe it's like the single season rushing record, or passing or whatever record. I don't know. I mean, football might be a little bit different because any given play. I mean, I guess you could say any given pitch, you could just throw your arm out, but that's not
But
usually
the
how it
difference the
happens,
difference
right? I mean, it's
the difference in other sports, like the common ones at least, is that like there isn't a fixed goal. You know what I mean? Like okay, say your quarterback goes 25 for 25 in completions, like has not an incomplete. Now that's cool. That's awesome. Would you call it a perfect game though? I mean, you can still lose the game and do that. You know what I mean?
no,
Like
because
there are
and to create a situation like what we're talking about, you'd have to like, oh hey, he has a perfect completion percentage for this game. What are we gonna not gonna call any pass plays? Like, or we're gonna only kind of call
right.
it dump offs? Like, you
And you
don't.
could, and he still could have those stats. That's the thing. Like, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
that.
but
Whereas, like this is like literally you have a goal. You have to get this done, and you did it every single time as a pitcher. Like literally just racking my brain as we're talking. The only thing that comes close to this is in bowling when you can bowl a 300. That is a perfect score, right? Now that happens way more commonly than a perfect game in baseball. It's much more frequent, but like the same analogy is like, oh, okay, well, you're in a bowling tournament, you're the championship, and you've already, you're at 270, and the other guy's not going to be able to get to 270. So rather than just try for the extra pins and get to the perfect game, you just throw it down the gutter and say, I'm going to go home. You know what I mean? Even that doesn't sound as bad as taking a guy out of a perfect game, you know?
yeah, there, even with that interesting example you gave, there is no other sport where it's like all those other examples. It's completely within that athlete's. It's under their control. It's up to them. They make the call whether to just roll off or if you're I don't know how many tennis players have like a perfect score or something like that. You're still going to try for the perfect score because you need to finish the match, the game.
Right,
It wasn't up to. I'm assuming it was not up to Kershaw to take himself out or not, and
right,
that's the bummer about it. I mean, they came out and they I don't know what they said. I think they had Kershaw say it was because of the shortened off season, but that's a bunch of bull. Like every other pitcher's out there pitching. I mean, he started the game. He was playing like. there's no reason, there's no good enough excuse for it aside from them saying like, listen, it's not our job is to win games, not to purely entertain you, which I kind of, I don't know.
No, I mean, yeah,
That's the only
the job is their
that is
job.
the actual explanation, and that's just not what people want to hear. So
The uncomfortable reality is that is their job, is to entertain us. And if they're not entertaining us, then guess what? You can go play, with 18 guys out in some park somewhere by yourselves, and that's what will happen eventually if this sport continues to do the things that it's doing to die out viewership, because the money and the contracts all come from people wanting to watch and being entertained. If that doesn't happen anymore, guess what? You become relegated in society to being some, like, I don't know, arena football, or some, like, just kind of cult following after that. You're not America's game anymore. You know what I mean?
well, the only pushback I would say to that is like, whose job is it to entertain us? So like the manager, the pitcher themselves, um, maybe even the GM, like their primary goal is to win games, and you could argue that you get the most entertainment from just winning. Like, we just talk about your own market. Now, baseball as an organization, MLB, the league themselves, the owners, the league executives, their job is to make money for their job is to make money, and you make money by getting viewers. You get viewers by having exciting and entertaining product. So we're probably criticizing the wrong people here. I mean, maybe there should be I don't know, a league mandate that's like, if you have the chance to go for a perfect game, you got to try to go for it. I mean, that's a little bit extreme because you have the league influencing strategy, but you already have some of that with like the shift and all that stuff. I'm getting down a bit of a rabbit hole, but like we're kind of ragging on maybe the wrong people, but the point still stands. Like, you're absolutely right. It's all tied together. I mean, you only make money if people give a shit about your sport. Um, where it's different from arena football or something that's purely like we just have an alternate, like a monster truck rally. And I know some people may take those things seriously, but mostly that's pure entertainment value, and you're just going because it's a show. Well, people care enough about the actual sport where it's not just a show. It's a sport. It's like a serious athletic competition.
Yeah,
So
and
you have wins as a priority.
well, you have that's the thing, and you, like, touched on something. It's a serious athletic competition, so as long as you know the people participating it continue to take it seriously, and winning isn't yeah, winning is definitely an important thing, and winning, like, a World Series or whatever, is a big deal. But this is something, like, this is where I just have a I draw a distinction here, because, like, this is something that has always been sacred, like, to baseball, and to people that love the sport, to people that, like, are like the people that actually would always follow baseball despite their team being bad. It's like it's one of those unspoken rules where if you got a guy that's flirting with perfection, you just let him go. You don't even talk to him, let alone take him out of the game and say, oh, your pitch count. Like, you don't even, like, you let that guy sit in the dugout and just keep on going until he gives up a hit or a walk. Like, that is like that is like I'm it's just one of those unwritten rules. You know what I mean?
Well,
Like, that you just gotta do that.
I wonder I don't know this, but what's better for the league to have a, a, a chance to have a no hitter to have a perfect game thrown in April by a good pitcher, by one of the best pitchers in the game right now, on one of the best teams in the game right now, and one of the largest markets in the game right now, or to have a guy just like Kershaw, specifically Kershaw, available in the postseason or World Series that game, just having him starting. I don't know this. I'm just asking, what's more valuable to the league? Because if we agree that it's really the league's prerogative to have viewers and to generate
No,
revenue that way.
no, no,
I'm just
no.
wondering. I wonder if they
No.
value like we want the stars of the game to be there in the postseason. That's better
But this,
for us
see,
because
here's
that's gonna. Well, let me finish. Like that's
I,
better
I,
for the product. That's better for us because most people don't want. I mean, most people don't watch in April. Most people watch like me and bad baseball fans. But hey, there's more bad fans than good fans, I think. We watch in September and October, and I want to see Kershaw then. I don't want him to blow out his arm in May, and then he's not available to next. You know, what I'm saying like I'm just wondering maybe that's how the league thinks about it, and they let the teams do
the
what they want.
the problem is the first problem is that, and I know this isn't necessarily your argument, but that argument is operating on the false premise that him going out and throwing 15 more pitches is going to somehow make him none available in the postseason.
There are
That's the
stats,
part
Scotty.
that
There are
that's
pitch
the
count
thing.
stats.
This is what's ruining the sport. Is like I'm sorry, he next week he could get a paper cut that gets infected and he could never pitch again. You know, because that happens to pitchers. You know, you get some little what anything can happen. Anything can happen at any time. There's no guarantees in the postseason, just like anything else. So yeah, sure, probabilities and pitch counts about yeah, sure. Is it potentially more likely he could be available in the postseason? Maybe, maybe, but we're talking about a perfect game, and a perfect game in April when this is the time where you need like the viewership is probably not as it's all you can get some fans interested, you can get some people like excited about like oh shoot, we got perfect games going here. Kershaw's dealing like hey, let's get into the Dodgers this year, let's get into whatever like let that happen. Let people like develop the relationship with the team over the course of a long season. That's why you have these games in April, so you get people turning out. And if you got people saying, "Oh, you know what? It's a long season. 7 innings, 80 pitches. I know it's a perfect game, but let's just call it a day and see what happens after this." That's going to detract interest. That hurts you more. Now, I don't give a. I won't care about. I will not care about the Dodgers in September because of things like this. You know what I mean? Like that's just it hurts you more by doing this and taking this approach. And
Yeah.
it's for a little benefit. A little benefit. I mean, if Kershaw will be fine if he goes out and throws 2 more innings. I mean, based on how he'd already been going, he probably would have thrown 15, 25 more pitches
Six more
max.
outs. 6 more outs.
He could have given up a hit the very next batter, and they would have taken him out, and it could have been fine. This wouldn't even be a topic, But now it's left such a sour taste in all baseball fans' mouths that you've gone screwed the pooch.
Well, that's the other thing. Like the Dodgers, I say Dave Roberts, but the Dodgers have done this with many of their other pitchers in seasons past. But it's also a bummer because you kind of know, unless it's like a, honestly, I can't even think of the situation, but you kind of know it's never going to happen. Because
Exactly.
if
If
not
not then,
now, why
when?
not? If not now, when? I mean,
Right.
so it's. Maybe other teams would handle it differently. Maybe the Reds, who really don't have much to play for, and maybe there's a guy that just gets close to one. They'll leave him out there. We're not playing for anything. Especially like late in the season when you have bad teams that just aren't making the postseason. Maybe they'll let them go. But the Dodgers and Kershaw, why would they decide later on in the season to let him go out there and finish the game rather than
Unless it's in unless it's in the postseason, literally the postseason. Why else would you do it in September? Oh, if they're in playoff contention, we're going to take him out in the 6th inning because boy, we sure need that guy's arm in October. Like that is the most bogus thing on the planet. Like you are there to play and to I don't know. I just not a fan of that move.
yeah, yeah. Well,
Anyways,
transition. You
to
didn't
what?
watch any of the Masters, did you?
No.
It's messed up.
Why on earth would I watch any of that?
Okay, hold on a second. Before we go into that, I brought it up and I want to say a couple of things about the Masters, but I'm not going to do that if you're just going to sit here and shit all over it. That's not cool. Some people really like the Masters. I really like the Masters. I watched at least an hour's worth all 4 days. Some days I watched much
Honestly,
more.
honestly, the only thing that would bore me more than listening to you talk about the Masters here is watching the Masters.
Well,
But if
it's
you want
good.
to say
It's not as
go
boring
ahead.
as watching it. I mean, I just felt the need to give Scotty Scheffler a little shout out, your namesake. I mean, hell, geez, you were named after the guy. Um, I mean, I don't know. You've taken see. So that's the problem with you, man. What is this only supposed to be a baseball and football show? I mean, I cannot not talk about anything else with you. You just take the wind out of my sails completely. What am I can't even have
It
a
just
I can't even have a back and forth with you because now I know you have no interest in even saying anything about it. You didn't watch anything about it. You don't know anything about it. You didn't even know who Scotty Scheffler is. You don't even know what the guy looks like. I mean, you don't know anything. You don't know anything about this. So how am I even supposed to do anything with you?
neither does all of America. No
It's a
one knows
dumb
what he
thing to
looks
say.
like. No one knows what he looks like. What does he look like? Describe him, Kev. Tell me. Let me look up a picture and you tell me what he looks like.
That's not the point. The point is that you are a massive buzzkill. I mean, you couldn't even like like listen. You're on a podcast with a listener, and you know it's about sports, and you didn't do a damn thing to even like know who won. If I hadn't said that, you wouldn't even know who won, right? Am I right?
Yeah, that's
I
correct.
mean,
I would not
just
know.
give me a little effort next time, okay? Like I'm not asking. It's a major in a sport that has a lot of attention. It's got so much. It's got tons of history. I mean, it's an American tradition at this point. Not even at this point. It has been for 100 over 100 years. Not 186. There's been 86 of them. Almost 100. There will be 100. The point is that I would have thought, I would have hoped, I did hope, now I've got no hope, that you would have taken a little bit of like pride, nay, just call it responsibility towards me, knowing that I've brought it up before, you knew I'd probably bring it up again, to at least like know what happened with Tiger Woods during them. Do you know it? Don't I know you see you looking at your screen. Do you know what happened with Tiger Woods at least? You know who he is?
Yes, yeah. Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods. After yet another
Oh,
whatever
stop it.
controversial.
Stop. I don't
Come
care.
on,
I
man.
don't want to hear
Come
your
on. He
opinion.
comes back. He
I
comes
don't,
back.
and no one wants to hear your
He
opinion
comes
on
back
this. You've
and he
shown on your
shoots
cards.
13. He's 13 over par.
You
Congratulations.
don't
He can
even
get
know
on.
anything
He can
about his
get.
golf
He can.
round.
He can get on. He can get on a golf course and hit a ball into a cup. Apparently, using 13 more strokes than is what is standard in that golf course. So
I don't think you really,
good for him. Good for America.
does this make you happy? To be like this? To just act this way? Did
What way?
you get your rocks off this way? Is this what makes you sleep at night because you know what? I say fuck you to the Masters and I'm proud I'm happy with that. I'm
I
good. I'm
didn't. First off,
Scotty.
first off, I never said those words.
You
But
might as
I
well
just
have. You said
listen.
hitting a ball into a cup. What more could you say? It's like I mean, I mean, yeah, you do it. I don't believe. The other problem is you got me all. I'm not even flustered. I'm just angry with you, and I'm not
So
flustered. What makes me even more mad is that I know this isn't a show. You actually feel this way, and that's more
yeah, I do.
disappointing to me than the fact that you can't even help me out with what we're doing here. It's like
Okay.
yeah. As a
All
sports
right.
fan, you don't have to love every sport. You don't have to watch every sport. But just you have a someone could and here's the reason why, Scotty, because someone can turn around and say to you, baseball, really? He's just throwing a ball into a guy's glove and we're gonna try to whack at it, and they just get
Yeah.
lucky half the time. They could totally whittle your sport, your favorite sport, down to nothing and make it meaningless. How would that
It
make you
could.
feel? You're gonna say I wouldn't
It,
care because I don't know those people. But the point is that some people do care. Some people's favorite sport is golf. And you know what? That's the other thing. I don't even care if you don't even say another word. It's a great sports tradition, if nothing else. Like you're talking about the perfect game is this legendary thing that happens in baseball. It's this magical thing. Baseball's all rooted in tradition. Like, how are you going to just turn around and just totally dismiss an entire sport that has so much history, so many athletes, so many great stories? I am offended by that as even just like a casual golf fan because we talk about sports, we like sports, and I'm disappointed that you even just take this attitude towards any. I know that there's more sports than just golf that you take this attitude towards. It's just very disappointing to me. So I mean, you have your. I'm not trying to change your mind. I'm not going to, but like I hope you understand. You hear what I'm saying because it's a massive bummer, dude.
I hear what you're saying, and yeah, golf, and particularly the Masters, is rooted in a lot of tradition, but a lot of that tradition is not really conducive with modern day culture, and so when there's the exclusivity of it, the country boy, country club,
Yeah,
like rich elite,
yeah,
just
yeah,
oh yeah, like that,
yeah.
the
B-
doctor,
Yeah,
lawyer,
baseball was always integrated. Yeah, you're right. They got
baseball has
nothing bad
problems
in their
too.
past. Oh yeah, there's nothing bad in their past. Football the same way.
Baseball's baseball. Well, other sports have problems too, but I think other sports have changed quicker.
Okay, gotcha. So that's your knock. There's more recent racism in golf, and that's why you don't like it. Gotcha. You got no excuse. You got no excuse. You just don't know anything
No
about
excuse.
it. You're not good at it, so you don't like it. That's bullshit, dude.
I'm probably better at golf than any other sport around because it really is not that hard to hit a ball into a cup.
Oh, really? Let's go to the
Yeah,
range,
really.
and we'll have a little special episode, a little extra
All right.
special YouTube thing. We'll each hit 50 balls and see which ones go farthest. You
Sure.
jackass, Scotty. Yeah. Okay. I, again, like I want to talk about it, but I just can't with
All right.
you.
I won't say anything, and you just tell me how amazing. How amazing! Don't talk to me anymore. Talk to our viewer out there, and tell that viewer how amazing the Masters was, what it meant to you, how beautiful it was out there. Just tell me all about it. I want to know.
I'm not
Well,
going
I
to tell
don't
you
know. Our
about it.
viewer knows.
I'm
Our
not. I'm
viewer
not
wants to
talking to you
know.
anymore. And yeah, viewer. I mean, all I really wanted to comment on was this Masters was cooler than other Masters I've watched because the course played really tough. I mean, there was only, I think at the end of the day, there was only like 6 golfers that were even under par for all 4 days. I thought that was pretty cool because it actually looked like a challenge. I mean, I've always thought that not that it matters necessarily, but when the whole field is hitting like minus 13 or something like that, it kind of is like, well, okay, who can just take advantage of this easy course the most? But the Masters seemed like an actual challenge. There's really just one guy that kind of rose above the rest, Scotty Scheffler, the winner, and Rory actually, it was cool to see. Well, see, that's the thing. Like, if you pay attention over the course of the 4 rounds, it's cool to see how players can have their own mini comeback within a round of golf within one tournament. Rory came into the last day, I think it was -1, and the leader was like -8. Rory like shot 6 under par for that final round and came in second place. And even though it's just second, you can see players and how they make adjustments throughout the tournament. Just like in any other sport, you make adjustments. But that was the Masters is the first major in the season. So going into the next one and the next one, you can kind of get a feel for who is in the right groove, who's going to be competitive for future tournaments too. Um, Tiger, it was great to see Tiger out on the golf course again. I mean, he almost lost his leg. They almost had to amputate it after that car accident like 17, 18 months ago. And that's a great story. I mean, however you feel about Tiger is how you feel about Tiger, but I mean, he's one of the I mean, he is one of the top athletes across sports that we will ever watch in our lifetime. It's like Tiger, LeBron, Messi, Ronaldo, and there's probably a couple others in different sport. Tom Brady. So it's like a golf event is immediately more interesting whenever Tiger's there, just because of his own legacy that he already has, and I want to see him add to it. I mean, I don't think he's ever gonna beat Nicklaus's record, and that's fine. But that dude's been through a lot of shit, and whether you like him or not, I mean, it's good to see him at least able to be competitive, and he's committed to I think the other all 3 of the other majors this season, and maybe some other couple events. But that was cool to
Can I
see.
say something? Can I say something positive?
I don't know. Actually, I think you're going to sit out this section. I think just let me finish, and then we'll move on to the next thing, whatever the fuck that is. Um, so yeah. So I thought that was good, and There are some players that haven't been playing well this year that didn't even compete. Ricky Fowler, I've always liked Ricky, and I think most people do for reasons aside from his actual play. And then Jason Day, Jason Day is my favorite. I've always liked him, and I don't know. I don't. Again, I'm a casual golf fan, so I don't know other than them not playing well enough this year to qualify for it because they haven't won it before. Because you automatically get to play if you've won it. Um, I would like to see those guys, but there are actually a lot of good young golfers that are interesting, and it's not just like the Tiger Show. So so I don't know. I mean, I plan on paying attention to at least the other majors this season, um, and the Masters next season. So big Masters guy. Transition.
Sure.
Okay. Dude, Scotty, you know what's happening Sunday?
Easter Sunday.
It is not it is in addition to the celebration of the rising of Jesus Christ. It's the Bristol Dirt Race. So I got to be honest with you, Scotty. I am really surprised that NASCAR is having an event on Easter Sunday.
That is pretty shocking to me. I agree. Like you'd think, for I mean, I've never been to any other sporting event where they'd say a prayer or convocation beforehand. So it's certainly a Christian one too. So I don't know why they would do something on Easter Sunday is pretty wild. But if you're gonna do something on Easter Sunday, Bristol Dirt Race is the thing to do. You know what I
You're
mean?
probably right about that. Yeah, people are already home. They're already like, they're gathered, with their family. It's like Thanksgiving, watch football. I mean, something's going to be on TV, so might as well be a
Truth be
NASCAR
told,
race.
told, as soon as you mentioned that, I'm actually pretty excited. I'd like to know what time that race is because I think I might watch it.
7 p.m.
7 p.m. All right,
So it's a night race too.
fantastic.
It's a night dirt race.
Night
Yeah.
race.
And I don't know. Actually, I don't know
Yeah,
why they're doing that. Last year it was during the day, and it could be that I'm kind of shooting from the hip here. It could be that you get so much dirt and mud on your windshield. Maybe like the sunlight with the dirt it just messes with the driver's vision during I mean, they did it last year, so it obviously wasn't that big a deal. And they do dirt races all across the country all the time, so it's probably not that big of a deal. It probably has more to do with they're going to have it on Easter Sunday, and they don't want it to most people eat like midday, like right after church. They get together and eat, so they don't want to have it during
that's
the
good.
day.
Yeah, that's probably what it is. Honestly, is allows people to watch more people to watch, but it's pretty smart.
Yeah, I years ago, not too many years ago, but I was always thinking to myself, like, why isn't NASCAR doing more to be interesting or push the envelope or I don't know, just market themselves better to a broader audience? And I don't know if they have or if I've just like caught on to it and I'm into it now or I'm interested. But I mean, this is the second year, only the second year that they're having one of the major races in the series be a dirt race, and for it to be at Bristol, the smallest track they've got, it's just so cool. I mean, I'm really into it. I mean, they did the Coliseum, the Busch Clash at the LA Coliseum, um, but I don't know. I mean, I'm not a big dirt race guy. I can't really say that. But to see like they're using their windshield wipers and they're spraying things down, and it's just a really unique. And now they've got it's like another tentpole event. It's not just Daytona. It's not just Talladega. They've gotten rid of the Brickyard, which is a crazy thing to me. But yeah, you should definitely watch the dirt race.
I think I will. I think it'll be a lot of fun. And they're a little bit shorter, aren't they? Like this race will probably end 3 hours or
I think it's 400 miles, but I think that I mean most NASCAR races don't go longer than 4 hours unless there's tons of cautions or a delay. Um,
yeah, true.
so yeah, I mean right around 3 hours. I mean it's the same. I think I don't know if everybody's talked about this or not, but every sporting event seems to last right around 3 to 4 hours. Baseball game, football
Yeah,
games, college football lasts forever, but that's just because they stop the clock so damn much. Um,
Go over to Europe and we can watch Le Mans.
yeah, yeah.
That's the real long event.
The only one that is shorter than I would say the shortest is college basketball.
College basketball's
That's
pretty short.
that's
Yeah.
that's probably like a tight 2 hours.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
I would agree with that.
but the NASCAR season so far has been interesting. There's been a lot of young guys that are winning these races, and all the stars like the Bush brothers and I think Truex might have won one. Denny finally won a race. There's like Ross Chastain, William Byron, like Alex Bowman, all these young guys that don't have a lot of like. I'm not really interested in them. Maybe I will be. I did learn
That's
recently. That's how I mean. Hey, you by winning, that's how you get famous. I get that. I will say one guy who's won, Ross Chastain, which I know you know the name because it sounds like a name that's just been around for a while. He's actually like, I think he's in his late 20s, but I found out recently that his nickname is the Watermelon Man because he comes from a long line of watermelon farmers. And whenever he wins a race, he smashes a watermelon in celebration. And I'm like, I can support, I can root for that guy.
I can definitely root for a guy like that does that. That's incredible. And he's I mean he's doing really, really well. I mean he's
He's
won
second.
one.
He's second in the playoff race.
Yeah, he's won one. He's had 5 top 5 finishes.
Yeah,
And it gets 5 top 10, but I think it's the same 5. But
yeah,
still, it's pretty awesome.
it is great. So, hey, I can get behind the watermelon man. That's no problem for me.
Watermelon Man.
So, hey, maybe I just need to learn more about some of these new drivers, and I know that Brian and Eric are cousins that are basically they're farmers and car guys, and on their dad races. Um, it's not NASCAR, but what does Doug do? What does he races like drag
Like
racing? They do
drag
drag
race.
racing.
Yeah.
Anyway, they would they know a lot about like where these racers come from. So a lot of these racers, like the guys that have a lot of like street cred, are the guys that came up through like the dirt track scene, like the truck series and stuff like that. There's some drivers that like I guess you call them pretty boys, but they did like just the carts and I don't know, like Ty Gibbs. I mean, I think that Ty Gibbs will have a future. He'll be a guy for a while, but like his dad's Joe Gibbs. His dad owns a race team. Like you could just say like, and Joe Gibbs wasn't a race car driver. That'd be one thing if he was like if it was like in the family line. But he's just a rich he's just a rich team owner. So I think he could be like a golden like a silver spoon kind of heel in NASCAR in the future.
That is you ask like how to get NASCAR more interesting and entertaining. That is how you do it. You gotta like the layperson, someone like my wife who she'll get into anything if you could explain like all right here's the dynamics here's what's going on. Anyone just turning on a NASCAR race won't get that. You got to really follow to understand like some of the nuances of like, oh, this guy like grew up like kind of in the indie circuit, and like all the dirt track racers really like him, and he's if you made that stuff a little bit more prominent, well known, so you add some drama and intrigue to each individual race, you'll get more viewership, and they need to like allow more, or just like they need to really like emphasize like getting into people's faces when they do some dirty things and like some of the arguments and the fights and the like that plus the wrecks. That's what people want to watch. That's what's entertaining. That's what's going to get people into it. And
Well, did you
you
see? I mentioned Ty Gibbs. Did you see the kerfuffle he got into?
no, I didn't.
Okay, so it was during it wasn't during a cup series. It was during the Xfinity series. I know it's branded, but it's basically, gosh, I might get drilled for this, but it's not the minor leagues, but it's kind of like the class down. It's like the next class down from like the main NASCAR series. That's what Ty Gibbs. That's what he primarily races in, and he's actually really good. Um, Sometimes you have like big name guys like Kyle Busch and Kevin Harvick will sometimes race all of the races in a weekend, even like the truck series. So sometimes you'll have those guys in there too. But anyway, after one of these Xfinity races, Ty Gibbs and damn it, I can't remember the other guy He was some guy that you would definitely never heard of because I hadn't heard of him either. So something happened, spin out, it was somebody's fault, and after the race was over, the two guys got into it and they actually started throwing blows. But the joke of it all was Ty Gibbs kept his helmet on. So he's wearing this giant NASCAR helmet that's used to prevent or to protect you against like these 200-mile-an-hour collisions. And this other guy is just like nothing on. Like maybe even a baseball. I don't even know if he has a baseball hat on. And they're just swinging at each other. And like bad work on both guys' part. Like you gotta know, Ty Gibbs. Like you're gonna be called out. My battery's running low. You're gonna be called out if you don't square up with the freaking take your helmet off, fight the guy. That's weak. And then the other dude, what the hell are you doing? Like you're gonna swing at the guy with the helmet on?
It's like those NFL players that get in fights and they punch each other in the face with face masks. Like, what are you thinking?
That's right.
It's ridiculous. Gosh. Well, anyway, so that's NASCAR can be fun. I've grown a lot more appreciation for NASCAR over the last 2 or 3 years. Because if you spend a little bit of time, you actually understand some of the nuance of it. It can be really, really entertaining. I think that's their challenge is you have to get some of that stuff across to a layperson in a really succinct way to build some of that drama and intrigue that I just don't think is there right now in like a lot of the broadcasts and things like that, Because when a lot of the critique is, well, I want to spend 4 hours watch people drive around in circles. It is
turning left.
It's turning left. It's way more involved than that. There's so many different elements, components, and
it's just like any other sport. It's like you could say like, oh, I've heard people say like, oh, I'm going to watch two soccer teams play for an hour or for however long, 90 minutes, and then just end up at 1-1 draw. It's like, but there's more to it than that. It's
kind of like saying I could hit a ball into a little cup. It's like someone that says something like that. That jerk.
That's weird. I've never.
Me neither.
Who would say something like that?
I don't know.
To belittle like a whole sport and fan base like that.
Yeah.
Okay, my computer's gonna die. Scotty, I will have a great Easter.
You too.
And dirt race, etc. Adios. You gonna say bye?
Bye.
You do this every time. You do it every time. Say goodbye to the people.
Because you make it seem like you've already clicked it off. I didn't know. I thought you were just gonna cut me off. So I was like, all right, well, I guess I'm not gonna say bye today. And then you say that. So bye.
Bye. All right. So if you've listened this far, you must, for some reason, like what you've heard. So given that, please remember to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Make sure to follow us on Twitter @ObsessionCast for all future episode updates and whatever else we might post, sports related or otherwise. Thanks for watching.